weapon may be formed. The weapon may be formed, but it won't prosper. Yeah. When the darkness falls, it won't prevail. For the God I serve knows only how to triumph. Come on. And my God will never fail. No, no, He won't. No, my God will never fail. Sing this out. 'Cause I'm gonna see. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. Yes, it does, Lord. Oh, and there's power in the mighty name of Jesus. Yes, there is. Every war He wages, He will win. We're not backing, and I'm not backing down from any giant. 'Cause I know how this story ends. Yes, we do. We know how this story ends. And I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory for what? For the battle belongs to you, Lord. And I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory, victory. The battle belongs to you, Lord. And I'm gonna see a victory. Oh, I'm gonna see a victory, victory. The battle belongs to you, Lord. And I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. The battle belongs to you, Lord. Come on, you take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. Yeah, you turn it for good. He turns it all. He turns. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. Yes, you turn it for good. And I'm gonna see a victory. Come on. I'm gonna see a victory for what? I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. Yes, you turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. Yes, you turn it for good. For good. He turns it for good. He gives us righteousness. He gives us victory. Let's sing this out. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop. You never stop working. You never stop. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop. You never stop working. He never stops, no, Lord. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop. You never stop working. Never stop. You never stop working for me, Lord. You're working for all of us. You never stop. You never stop working. You never stop. Oh, you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Yeah. Amen, Anthem, amen.
We want to welcome you again to Anthem, where our invitation for you is that you would make this place home. There's a couple different ways that you can connect with this community. If you're here for the first time and you want to know more, you can head out to our Growing Disciples booth, which is right out in our courtyard. It is not pouring rain or snowing this weekend, so it is back in our courtyard, and we'd love to connect with you there. Or you can text Anthem to 55498, and we'll be able to connect with you there.
Yeah, another way to connect too is by giving. So this week, being that it's homecoming weekend, we want to do a special offering, and that is for the students this week. So we're doing the offering. The budget is going towards Loma Linda University student scholarships. So by giving today, you're providing the opportunity really for these students to be able to study here, just like we all once did a while ago. So that's what the offering's going to be for today. You can either give physically as the ushers come forward. You can give either by cash or check, or you can give by the QR code that's going to pop up in the back here, and you can just scan the QR code, and there's a link there that way as well.
A couple of things we want to let you know about here in this community is it is homecoming weekend, alumni weekend, and we want to welcome you once again, all the alumni that are here. This is our first service here at Anthem. We have our 10 o'clock and our 11:30, so you're here at our 10 o'clock. Well, there's always a lot happening, and we want to let you know, because it is alumni weekend, we have a special guest here with us. Carissa is going to be sharing. She's our friend. She is an alumni here from Loma Linda University. She's a world traveler. She has her master's here as well, and she's going to be sharing with us. Also want to let you know about after our second Anthem service, we are going to be having a massive haystack feed in our tent over here. They're going to be serving it in our fellowship hall, and then you can dine in this massive makeshift tent over here. So make sure to stay by for that. Well, considering that it is Homecoming Saturday, this is the first time we've ever celebrated this here at Anthem. And so as an Anthem team, we were wondering, how do we celebrate Homecoming weekend with everyone as a church? Well, whether you are an alumni that is here visiting from wherever, whether you are a student who is doing classes right now, or whether you're a family that has made this place home, or whether you have grown up in this community, we want to say that Loma Linda, there is a piece of Loma Linda in each of our hearts.
Yeah, Josh and I have lived here for 3 years. Now, the majority has been through COVID, but nonetheless, this is a place that we've grown to call home. And something about us, actually, that you might not know is that, Josh is from Canada, I'm from Washington State. We never knew what Loma Linda even looked like before moving here. And so, as soon as we landed here, we're like, I don't know what to expect. I don't know a lot of people, but as you know, this community welcomed us, and we started off as not knowing a lot of people, ended up as friends that we consider family. And so that's what happens in our space here too. We've seen it over and over again at Anthem. So for those that are coming back, we want to welcome you home. We want to say welcome back. This is a space that Josh and I, the first place we've ever lived married, so this is very close to our hearts as well. And like Josh said, there's a piece of Loma Linda inside all of us, so we want to celebrate that today.
So no matter who you are, take some time as we go through this service to think about how Loma Linda has shaped you and has made you into who you are today.
Who knew, right?
Yeah.
There's like years down there.
Coincidence.
We're gonna be
that we're classmates.
Our kids will be in the same class. We were in the same class. We were even roommates.
Same program.
Yeah.
Same friend group.
Yeah, this is home for you guys.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to say that like Loma Linda has made us into who we are today, and like these jobs that we're working is because we went to school here. So seeing that like a bunch of people from our family went here, and now we're all working and continuing the healing and teaching ministry of Jesus Christ, it's really cool to say that. Really interesting to see.
Yeah, special legacy.
Yeah, special legacy. I like that.
We were actually roommates,
We
remember?
were roommates in the Lindsay Hall.
Yes. Remember before school started, you even contacted me and you wanted to make sure we both had matching bedspreads.
So cute.
Yeah, so we had a nice little room
I wish I had
together.
pictures of them.
Right.
I always had a picture of Boys Down. She did not. Like posters.
Like of singers and like
Some
pop
cute
stars.
guy. Who are your teachers now? Terry Ross.
Terry
Yeah,
Ross.
yeah.
Blood Bag.
Oh, she was there?
Yes.
She was my
Yes,
instructor.
she was.
And she's there still.
Who are still
Twan.
there?
Oh,
Twan!
Yeah.
He showed us pictures of you guys
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
your
Oh,
class.
yeah.
It's really
Yeah,
nice.
he
See
takes
us.
pictures of every class.
This year, I'm studying for like the rotation I'm in, so it's more like focused on that subject. I'm in hematology right now, so I'm like looking at all the blood smears and like doing all the
The fun.
differentials, and it's been
CBC
cool.
diff.
Do you guys remember like going through that big box of slides?
Oh, yes.
Like,
the black
yeah,
box.
the black box.
The black
yeah.
box. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Still
all
there?
the, oh, yes, we still have it.
Still,
for
it's the same one.
female.
It's the same box. I think last year for us, it was really busy.
I think it's a lot easier for them. I don't know. I think it's a lot harder for us because we had to do with textbooks. You guys now have computers and phones.
Yeah. That's a major
You know,
difference. Yeah.
Google the answer. For us, we had to go through highlights and look at all the different pages. So I think they have it easy.
I think for me, Loma Linda represents home for me because I really agree with the values that it holds. I think it's really important to live a whole life and to balance like your academics and your spiritual life and your social life, to have like a good balance of everything.
Yeah, for me, it would be home too because I work here at the medical center and I spend 8+ hours a day. And then we go to church here. So it's like, yeah, this is home.
I love calling Loma Linda home. I think it's always a place that I'll always, like no matter where life takes me, I'll always look fondly on this time, like growing up in Loma Linda. Like the whole religious atmosphere just really it's very comforting and uplifting, and like the people here are just, I think it's really like the people here
Yes.
that are home, so.
This is the place I've stayed in the longest in my entire life. I got married at the University Church way back in 1993. It's special to me to be able to say that we've had generations of family here.
Home. A word that for many of us may inspire feelings of safety, of comfort, of joy. Perhaps it reminds you of amazing smells of curry simmering on the stove, or homemade chocolate chip cookies, or perhaps your grandpa's cologne. Or maybe for you, when you think of home today, you are quite appropriately thinking of Loma Linda, of your classmates, of your mentors, of your favorite hangout spots at a la Minute and Kukas and market night and all those good things. Home to you may be the community, maybe the friendships that you have developed here. Home is that place that we are always drawn to, and the place that we truly never leave. Perhaps that's why millions of viewers over the past many decades still resonate with the words of Dorothy on Wizard of Oz as she clicked those ruby red shoes and said, "There's no place like home." Throughout the approximately 4,000 years of history recorded in the Bible, we see a story of a longing, of a calling for home. whether it be the cry of a husband and a wife as they leave their Eden home, whether it be the agony of Joseph as he cries out, wondering if he'll ever see his father's face again. Or perhaps it's the plea of Queen Esther, who is seeking to deliver her people who are her home from certain destruction. Or maybe today you think of the words of John on that lonely Isle of Patmos, there as a prisoner of faith, as he too longs for home, the home in which he will never be separated again, the home in which there will be no death and no persecution, the home in which he pleads, even so, come, Lord Jesus. That plea for home within us all, whether it be a place or a family or a community, we all long for home. This theme is carried throughout the 66 books of the Bible, and I believe especially captured in one of my favorite books, the book of Isaiah. Throughout its pages, we read a continual plea from God as he calls his children to come home, as he calls them to turn away from the detours, from the pitfalls, from the worship of false gods and distorted images of him that are keeping his children from coming home. To turn away and to turn to him. It's also a story of hope, a story of the Messiah that would soon come to restore his people with healing in his wings. Isaiah chapter 58 captures the essence of this plea as God very pointedly reminds his people of his desire for connection with them and what connection truly means. We pick up the story today in Isaiah chapter 58, beginning in verse 6. In Isaiah chapter 58 and verse 6, the Bible says, "Is this not the fast that I have chosen? To loose the bonds of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, to let the oppressed go free, and that you break every yoke." So far, are you liking this? The idea that our calling is to go out there. What does connection look like? It means me going beyond myself and saying, okay, how can I help people out there? How can I get rid of those bonds that are tearing them down? How can I lift them up to hope? How can I inspire them with the true healing message of Jesus Christ? Going out there. So far, so good. But it's the next verse that I'm just not sure I like. Verse 7 continues. "Is it not to share your bread with the hungry, and that you bring to your house the poor who are cast out? When you see the naked, that you cover him, and hide not yourself from your own flesh." You see, in this passage, it's no longer about going out. It's about bringing them where? Bringing them in. You know, I like the idea of like, hey, here's a gift card to Subway, or hey, here's a gift card to Target. Like, get yourself some food and clothes. But instead, this passage is saying, no, so you know that home that you have with those roommates? Bring them in, right? That queen bed that you're so excited to finally have, offer it. You know, those clothes that you purchased with your hard-earned money, take them off and offer them to those who are in bondage. Now that's a whole nother level of connection. That is not what I was bargaining for. It's one thing to help those out there, but instead we're called, that connection is helping by bringing them in. by making your own self vulnerable, by exposing your own vulnerabilities through the process of restoring another. That is the picture of community that the Bible offers to us. And whether that be literal, where you're literally bringing people into your home, you're bringing them into your social groups, you're bringing them into your study group, you're finding ways to make them feel at home. Or whether it's figurative, where you're willing to bring someone into close connection with you, willing to open your heart and to make yourself known. And yet, isn't that truly the gospel story? God making himself vulnerable by coming down to connect with us. You see that as the story throughout the ages. You see Jesus there in the Garden of Eden, walking with humankind in the cool of the evening. And yet after they rejected him, God's heart still pled for that connection, for that community, for that home with his people once more. Let them make me a sanctuary, he says in Exodus 25, that I may dwell among them. Put curtains on me, hide me in a box if you have to, but I really want to be with you. I want you to invite me in. And ultimately, we see this picture of connection through the life of Jesus, through Emmanuel, God with us. It is the story of the ages. It's the story of the gospel. And it is also, as pictured in Isaiah 58, a calling, an invitation to each one of us as well. To partner with Christ in bringing the hurting home. Home into connection, home into relationship, home into community, home into our care. Home into the experience of peace and comfort and hope that they may never have experienced before. Home. Admittedly, over the last few months, I've been thinking about home a bit more frequently. As you may or may not have noticed, I have a little baby that's on its way. And though the baby is not due until this summer, my husband and I have had so many days dreaming and planning and looking forward to the arrival of our little boy. And I halfway hate to admit the fact that long before we actually planned this pregnancy, I was already dreaming of the nursery. I was already making those trips to Home Depot, picking out the perfect wall color. I was already, maybe or not, I purchased all the furniture. We have the crib all ready. We have the dresser there. We are entirely ready, minus the diapers, which I think is really the first priority. We are entirely ready for the child that is not coming until July. Did I mention that we're planners? But just the excitement when it's your first child of sitting in the rocker in their little nursery, and you are thinking, you're dreaming of what it's going to be like to hold your baby there, to rock them, to hear them coo, to look into their beautiful face. And though these are the things I dream of, probably the reality is going to be a little bit different. If you're parents, or if you've babysat before, you know that it actually looks like a whole lot of sleepless nights, a whole lot of diaper changes, a whole lot of spit up rags. Like, that's going to be more so my reality, which is a reality we're still happy to choose. And when I think about what it means to bring people home, to bring them into community, to bring them into our space, to allow them into our vulnerabilities, I realize that really it's not that different. We have that excitement, we're bringing them in, wonderful, how great it will be, and yet sometimes it can be a bit of a mess. And yet sometimes it can be difficult. And yet sometimes you might find you're at the end of your rope. You have given all you have to give. I have nothing else. How can I provide for the needs of others? You may wonder today if my own heart is hurting, if I'm the one feeling isolated, if I'm the one feeling alone. How can I possibly invite someone else in? Once again, the answer is provided in verse 8. After speaking of not hiding yourself from your own nakedness, but even giving the very clothes to those in need, the Bible continues, then your light, whose light? Our light. Then your light shall break forth like the morning. Your healing shall spring forth speedily. Your righteousness shall go before you. The glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. Then you will call, and the Lord will answer. You will cry, and he will say, here I am. Here I am. Haven't gone anywhere. I was right here. Do you see me? Here I am. When I read this picture, of course, initially I would think that it would say, their healing will spring forth, right? Isn't that who I'm helping? I'm helping those people out there. But then God redirects and says, no, not their healing, yours. Because it's through us reaching out, reaching in, encouraging others to experience the beauty of community and home that we also begin to realize, wow, wait a second, I need to be filled. I need to come closer to Jesus. I need to know what home is. I need to deepen my relationship with him so that I have something to offer to others. And perhaps for those of us that might feel lonely, isolated today, when we reach out to others, when we bring them into community, our own heart desire is filled. Healing? Whose healing? Ours. The Lord will guide you continually and satisfy your soul in drought. Strengthen your bones. You shall be like a watered garden, like a spring of water, whose waters do not fail. Those from among you shall build the old waste places. You shall raise up the foundations of many generations. When I think of the waters that don't fail, I can't help but think of the woman who poured out the last food that she had to the prophet. And again, like, especially now, with a baby on the way, you think, like, goodness, I would do anything to protect a child. And here she has the last meal for her child, that last precious morsel she can offer. And a prophet comes and asks for it? Does he not value the life of a child? Does he not see that we are on the verge of starvation? And yet, through offering the last bit of her resources, she was not only filled, but abundantly so throughout the remainder of the famine. And so also in our lives, so many times we've experienced that even when we feel empty, if we reach out, if we encourage, if we minister, we ourselves are also filled. When I first moved down to Loma Linda to pursue a Master's of Science in chaplaincy, I moved in with a couple housemates. And I did not realize that I have an uncanny ability that may actually sound slightly creepy, so bear with me. But apparently I walk very, very softly. And so I would walk into the kitchen and my roommates would be in there. And as I just walk in and they flip around and suddenly see me, they would scream, which of course is very flattering. And they would scream because they did not know someone was in the room. I wasn't trying to sneak up on them. I guess I just walk softly. And so from then on out, I'm singing everywhere I go or greeting from like a 15-foot distance so I would not terrify my housemates in the process. And I think of that when I read this passage of Jesus saying, here I am. It's kind of, again, this picture of us saying, hey, Lord, where are you? I need your help. And Jesus is like, I'm right here, right behind you. I've been hanging out. Here I am. And I'm ready to restore the longings of your heart. Here I am. I love hearing the stories of those who have valued Loma Linda and the mission here throughout the generations, those that maybe grew up here, those that come back here. But for many of us, as graduates, as students of Loma Linda, for many of us, we will ultimately leave this location. We may leave the community that we love so much here. And in that process, it's easy to lose connection. It's easy as the years pass to lose our connection with the mission to make man whole. To lose connection with our mentors, to lose connection with our classmates, to lose connection with the community that we have valued so much, and perhaps even to lose our connection with God. How can we keep this from becoming our reality? How can we maintain connection, certainly by events like this, homecoming weekend, where we are reconnected and re-energized for the mission wherever we may be in the world? But how else can we, on a daily, on a weekly basis, continue to maintain that connection, remembering our calling to bring others into home? Once again, Isaiah provides the answer. In Isaiah chapter 58, we are told of a weekly date that God has reserved for us. A weekly reminder that we're not alone, that we have a purpose, that we are valued, that we can be a part of God's creative and redemptive work. The Sabbath reminder of being able to maintain and deepen that relationship with God, of coming into that connection, that home in Him, and as we rely fully upon the grace of God, experiencing the depth of that home for ourselves. A home that goes with us wherever we may be. Nathan and Ella were a young couple who, as children, had come across on the Oregon Trail. And now settling in to their new California home after getting married, they were very excited to start their life as newlyweds. And for those who are or have been newlyweds, the excitement of building up that, I don't know how much they could do in that day and age after the Oregon Trail, but, they're putting up the nice rocker and they're polishing it and sweeping the dirt floors or whatever. They're making it look like home. Experiencing the joy, looking out over their fields, and Ella and Nathan dreaming about someday when they will have children running through those fields, children of their own. They lived quite a ways from town. And so one day, Nathan Messick came to his wife, Ella, and he said, "Honey, you know how I've been saving for a horse to plow our fields? Well, we have enough money. I'm going to go into town tomorrow and buy a horse." Now, Ella, of course, being the adoring wife that she was, said, "Yes, dear, wonderful love. And while you're there, I need flour and sugar and fabric and, the honey-do list." And she gave him the list, and the next morning he hooked up the buggy and he began to head off into town. Town, again, was about a half-day's journey away, so it was quite a ride for him to take. He finally arrived in town and went to the general store and spoke to the manager here. That was like Facebook Marketplace of the day. And there at the general store, he asked the manager, hey, I'm looking for a horse, a big, strong, sturdy horse that can work in my fields. And the man said, I think I know just the horse. And he led him out back to a little paddock there. And there, Nathan did see the horse he had been dreaming of. Strong, sturdy, well-bred. Nathan began to barter back and forth with the owner until they finally arrived at a price. And Nathan said, sold, I'll take it. When the owner suddenly looked reluctant, and he said, wait, there's a stipulation that I failed to mention. If you want the horse, you get the boy. If you want the horse, you get the boy. What do you mean I get the boy, Nathan asked as the manager pointed over to a bale of hay. And there, sitting on the bale of hay, was a disheveled little 3 or 4-year-old boy, looking far too small for this big old world. What do you mean I get the boy? You see, this little boy's family had come across on a wagon train, and something had happened to the family. Whether they were murdered or died of sickness, the story has been lost through history. But all that was left was the horse and the boy. If you want the horse, you get the boy. What was Nathan possibly going to do? Here he came into town as a newlywed. They have no children of their own. He comes for a horse and flour and sugar, and he comes back with a child. This could be a problem. With a heavy heart, Nathan left the general store, and he continued his shopping in town, loading up the buggy with all the goodies his wife requested, and setting off for that long journey home. It took some time before he finally worked up the courage to look at the horse tied to the back of the buggy and the little boy sitting next to him. Boy, what's your name? Nathan asked. Harry. What's your last name? Harry. The little boy didn't even know his last name. Nathan realized he needed a plan, and he needed a plan fast. And as he continued that buggy ride home that suddenly seemed a lot quicker than he desired, he told Harry, Harry, when we get home, I want you to walk up to Ella and I want you to tell her, Mommy, I'm home. He began to practice back and forth, Mommy, I'm home. Mommy, I'm... Good job. Don't forget it. Soon, Nathan can see Ella in the distance, standing on the porch, peering out at the horse tied to the back of the buggy, and this little passenger sitting beside her husband. As the buggy stopped in front of the porch, Nathan nudged Harry, and Harry climbed down those steps, raced up onto the porch, grabbed Ella by the legs, and said, Mommy, I'm home. Without a second thought, Ella reached down, picked him up, held him tight, and said, Yes, my son, you are home. That story is especially precious to me because Ella and Nathan are the first Adventist Christians in my home. They are my great, great, great something. They went on to have many other children and to adopt many others as well. And this precious story to me is a reminder of that incredible day by the grace of God when we will be home. Our ultimate home where there is no more pain, where there is no more suffering, there is no more isolation. And yet today, as we call this earth home, may we also be a home to someone else. May we invite them in, not just go out, yes please, but bring them in. Bring them into community, into vulnerability, into that connection with the one who loves them, who knows them by name, and of whom the gospel story speaks, a story of a love of a God who will not give up until he calls his children home. Heavenly Father God, thank you so much that you never give up on us. Thank you for the community that you have given to us. May we carry it with us, Lord. And may we bring others into that home, that hope, the safety, the comfort that we have found in you. And so, God, thank you. And Father, someday by your grace, we look forward to saying, Daddy, I'm home. We thank you and praise you in his name. Amen.